right, Dad, this is the start of me trying to make this entire door skin with no welds, just one big piece. Going to follow some advice I got from Peter Tomasini on this, and so the issue with this is that there's a curve at the top of this door skin, and putting the curve in is not a big deal, but the fact that this curve actually tapers down towards the edge here makes this a little more challenging. So you can't just blend it over a single pipe. But the thing that part of this is if you look down this door skin, so as this taper winds down as you go from front to back, this sort of sail on the top of the door also moves from inboard to outboard. So Peter's suggestion was to essentially put in the big round. So you do roughly bend this over a pipe about 90 degrees or so. And then on the wheel, really loose wheel this way, and just keep moving it across. And because you have a big gap on the wheel, the bottom anvil catches the bottom of this curve. What you're doing is progressively knocking off a part of this bend and knocking it and moving it upwards to be part of the sail. So this way you have one bend, and all you do is use your wheel to take out chunks of the bend at different points along the way, and you're just sort of gradually doing that all the way, in smooth increments along the way. So that's the theory anyways. And so I've gone and made a new paper pattern. I've marked out where I'm going to make some gauges to make sure I'm following this properly. And I'll cut this out and sort of get started. Now, one of the things that happens is when you bend over a piece of steel like this, what happens is you pull from this side. So if I put this over a piece of pipe and bend it over, I'm going to pull metal from this side of it. So what ends up happening is you end up, by pulling the metal out of here, you end up having a hollow. So there's a hollow that's created by that bending over. So I need to put it on my wheel and buff up the shaping here. And so I'm going to shape along here, along the top, everywhere that this curve is going to happen. And that will buff up the metal so that when I fold it over, it won't give me a hollow. I'll just be able to have a smooth amount. Now the amount that you have to do that is sort of, you have to have the experience to figure out how much you need to add, and I don't have that much experience. So I'll put in some shape, see how much I have, and then I'll bend it over and see what's left, make sure this doesn't go hollow on me. If it does go hollow, I'll unbend it and put in some more, and it's not a one-way trip. So that's the start, and I'm going to make some gauges now and pull out some sheet metal and take a crack at this. We'll see. Wish me luck. All right, there's my piece. Laid out some lines, transferred it to the workpiece, and I'm gonna start doing some wheeling down in this region along here. And so that will put some crown in this panel and some shape, so that when I bend it over, it doesn't go hollow. So that's the first thing to do. First thing I'm going to do actually is trim off some of the edge. All right, Dad, here's the first bend. It's not done yet. And you can see here I've got my my gauges marked out. And I've got a couple lines on here. This line here corresponds to when the turn starts. And this line here corresponds to when the turn comes back up and goes and makes the sail. I've got enough curvature here on the end, but I don't have enough quite down here. And it's just harder to get leverage. This piece is, it's kicking my butt. So I'm just a sweat pile right now, just trying to bend that thing over. It's not the easiest thing to do. That's a big 19 gauge. And so what I did was I sort of took apart my grinder station. I made this little bending tool here, and so I'm bending it over this 3-inch pipe, and takes pretty much a lot of my whole upper body leaning on this thing. So I've got it braced and hope the damn thing doesn't collapse on me when I'm laying on it. But seems to be making sense here. So the way that, I think this is actually a good way to look at it here. So as that line sort of goes back and to the left, I'll start to push this back up on the wheel more and more as I go to the back there. And that will leave behind this much curvature, because I'm going to be trying to knock it off sort of up here at this line. And so I just need some stronger arms to be able to get enough curvature there. It's fine on my gauges, but by the time I get to say, here's 8 here, I don't have, you can see I'm still pretty shy on the how much curvature I have on there. So I'm gonna keep working this thing, and I won't do any wheeling tonight, but because I'm gonna be too tired. But I want to get this thing to a place where it's been curved right. I actually haven't checked this out, so we'll do it together. I was a little worried about having too many flat spots here. You can see I might actually have a little too much residual shape there, but I'll wait. But I haven't done much curving there, so I'll need to do that and try to get as much bent over, and that will certainly drop that down in that whole section there. Of course, it's easier to do the ends in the middle. The middle has a lot more material to move. So anyways, that's sort of what the process is looking like. Talk to you later. Bye. Down there, Dan, you can see it's starting to come around. It's still, I'm gonna give up here for the evening. It's just a little too much hard work for me. I'm sore and sweaty, so, but I'm just about where I need to be here. And as soon as I get into the middle of this sail, then it stops behaving. It needs to come over more. Problem is, I'm starting to get some curvature down here, and I want to keep that more flat. And so I just need to have more curvature into that gap. So not quite sure how I'll do that, but it's going to be by letting it sleep. I'm going to sleep on it. Hope you're doing good, Dad. Take care. You can start to see how this panel curves in now. I need to start it actually more here and do less here to get that right. I'll do that next. I don't know how well you can see in my far shots. Essentially, I was bringing the wheel up to here and then just sort of wheeling from here to here, here to here, with pressure, upward pressure, so that to do sort of pull that up. And what it's doing is I'm getting some fine lines here just because of the way the wheel is every time I'm moving it over a little bit, it's picking up a little bit of a line. Let's see if I can make an adjustment on the wheel to minimize that. That's starting to turn, and I'll just keep doing that. I'm hoping that once it has turned, I'll be able to smooth out those lines and make it look better. Okay, after spending a little bit of time on the wheel, I came back and I started to use this little slapper or cone rod-like device, and I've been slowly, carefully tapping along that bend line, and you can see that's starting to come up. And I'll do that maybe another round or two, and then I'll go back to the wheel and try to smooth that all out. It's coming along slowly but surely. Here I am, starting to make some progress bending that. I've actually decided to just sort of stick with my little rod. That seems to be doing the trick. And once I'm further along here, I'll go back to the wheel so I can smooth out all the little imperfections. But this seems to be going just fine, so I'm just gonna follow along. Howdy, Dad. Here's work from today. You can see I finally managed to get that slowly turned so that the sails a little bit more. Not done yet. It's still got a little bit more shaping to do, but it seems to fit onto the door pretty well. I just have a few clamps on here. It's a little bit twisted, but it holds on there okay with just a couple of clamps. So I need to do just a little bit more work, sort of right in the middle here. There's just a very slight bow, and it doesn't sit onto the door or onto the old skin terribly well, and so that helps. That's causing part of the twisting. But I'll run a line through there with a long ruler and see exactly where it is that needs to be tapped upwards. But overall, I'm pretty happy with that. I started working on trying to get this turn here with the wheel, but in the end, I ended up just using sort of my trusty tapper, and just by slowly working it, I was able to get that turned over, as you see there. The turn is a little bit sharper than the size of this, and so you can only go so far. And then once I got it as far as it would go, I then just used a wooden block to shape that line. And so I sharpened up that line a little bit that way, and I'll keep working at that. But overall, I think this is the better way to do this, and I'm happy that it's mostly done now. And so I'm going to go relax a bit. My shoulders are burning, and that's what this afternoon did to me. But overall, I'm glad. Hello, Dad. Hope you're doing okay today. Yesterday I made this door skin. You can see if I just lay it on top of the old door, on the surface at least it looks okay, but if you start looking more closely, it's got a few issues. For example, if I go down here, you can see I've got a big gap there, and I'm short on the backs on that corner right there. So somehow this thing has sort of come up, and so it's not letting this come back down. So what I've been able to sort of gather here, if I were to put a straight edge down here, I'm picking up a big gap. It's probably, I don't know, at least 1/8 of an inch there. You can see that right there. And that gap seems like it's sort of hollow down in here. And so ultimately, when I put this on the old panel, I pull it up, it just runs into metal here. And so it doesn't allow this to sort of sit flush on there. So clearly something is not quite right there. If I can get the turn up here to move up a little bit, then the whole skin can slide down, and that would give me my distance back on the top corner here. So it's the angle on the surface is also not quite right. You can just sort of see it's, even if it came up, it's just sitting a little bit too high up here. So just some adjustments that I need to make, and but I will sort of kick away at that in the next few days, this weekend maybe, and see how well I can move this. My plan is probably to take this in here and do some gentle knocking on the bottom end here, right on my stump here. So, because I don't want any stretching, I don't really want to stretch any of this. Just want to move that up a little bit, and so hopefully that little bit does the trick, and I'm sure I'll fuss away at this for a while to get the fit better, but yeah, here we go. The other thing too that I think contributes a little bit to this misfit down in here is the old door had, well, the door that's underneath here had a roll this way. When I put in this taper, it's dead flat here. It's dead flat here, almost dead flat here. And so, whereas the other one, I had a bit of a roll. You know, I got the roll here, I kept it pretty flat there. But somehow I need to be able to have a roll this way. I don't know how to do that. And so, because once you put this thing in here, it is very strong. It's not going anywhere. And so you can move it up and down, you know, the bends and so on. But getting this kind of shape here is outside of my skill set. So I'm sure it can be done, but I'm not quite sure how to do that. So anyways, I'll do what I can do and try to get this as close as I can to something that makes me happy. Talk to you later. Bye.